Helmet is finally releasing on ZEE5. So I'm pretty sure, Dino, you must be extremely excited for the same as well.
I'm hugely excited. I've got, within a span of a week of each other, I've got my show, which I'm acting in, and I've got my second film, which I'm producing, both releasing. So for me, this is quite an exciting time.
Absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, the film Helmet, it is a film which sort of tackles the taboo of condoms, and sort of normalizing the conversations about purchasing condoms, and it also encourages the idea of practicing safe sex as well in that sense as well. So I guess, so where did this idea come from? Because I spoke with Rohan Shankar recently following the success of Mimi, and again, that tackles a very taboo subject, and here we have something which is taboo, which shouldn't really be a taboo, really. So where did this idea come from?
So my director, Satram, he worked with me on my first production. And he came to me with this idea. And to be honest, the idea resonated with me really well because I've been in a similar situation where I've been awkward about, and embarrassed about buying my first condom. Or the first few times I ever went to a store to pick up condoms, it was really such an awkward moment, because the pharmacies down the road, they know my neighbors, they know my folks, they know everybody, right? And but having said that, just the thought of, sometimes the shopkeepers also play with you, right? They're like, oh, you want a condom? This one or that one? What flavor? So it becomes really, it's just, you get everyone else looking at you like, I know what you're gonna do. And you're just in college and you're thinking, oh shit, okay, now the whole locality knows what I'm up to. So I resonated with the idea. And I thought the story had to be told because I'm sure I'm not the only Indian man who's had this embarrassing moment. There are many others who have this, especially if you live in a small town. You think of it. You live in a small town where the chemist knows basically everybody, right? The pharmacist knows everybody. So you go and ask for a condom, you're like, I know your dad. He probably bought a packet last week, So it's just that it just becomes weirder. So I knew the story had to be told and it's funny. And then, while exploring the screenplay, we went to Rohan to write the screenplay. And this was actually some time ago. This was before he even signed Luka Chupi.
Wow.
So we went, this our script's been in the making for some time actually. That's how it came about. The script, the first draft got written, and we wrote many drafts after that because we wanted to make this. There's a fine line when you talk about condoms. It could go into vulgar. It could go to like a sex comedy or be vulgar, right? And we didn't want to go into that space. We wanted to make it hilarious. We wanted to make it funny, yet not go into that space. And we ultimately made it a film where you can sit down with your folks and have a laugh. So that's how the idea came about. We did it.
Yes, and I think that's wonderful as well, Dino, because I think it is that fine balance that is required. Because if you think about it, all the other, like Vicky Donor, for example, that was again a film which addresses a very not spoken about subject, but yet a very natural and important subject as well, which is sperm donation. And that was made in such a way which was, it tackled the subject at hand as well as appealing to family audiences as well. So I guess the impetus must have been on you as makers to make sure to get that fine balance, right? So how did you actually manage to create that balance actually?
Well, it's just writing and rewriting the script and, going over it many times. And every time we felt it's bordering on a sex comedy or something that you really cringe, we try to stay away from that. And having said that, at the end of the film, there is a small message that, hey guys, don't be shy, right? So if you get the message, great. If you don't, you enjoy an hour 50 of a fun movie. So we're not being preachy at the same time, and I feel the nicest way to tell something, to speak about a message which is really important, is to say it in a very funny way, in a humorous way. And I think we've kind of achieved it with this film. I think we've achieved. We're not trying to make a big difference. We're not. But if it is a talking point, and if people start conversations because of this film, then I think we've achieved something.
Interesting. Now, I know you began shooting before COVID, and then obviously when COVID struck, you had to wait and then resume shooting again. So I think getting back on set, Dino, what was that experience like? Because I'm sure it must have been quite a shock to you as makers and as well as the actors as well, because I'm sure there must have been a lot of different processes happening, i.e. the sanitization and all of that. So how was that experience of getting back to shoot amidst this pandemic period?
So fortunately, we only had a really small schedule to finish before the pandemic, before the lockdown happened. Once the lockdown was over, we were easing into going back to normal life. There were certain protocols we had to follow because that was a government rule, right? And in a way, it was a rule because you just needed to sanitize your sets. Everybody, the technicians, everybody had to have a mask on. Lots of them had to have these PPE suits on, and you know, Mumbai is really hot, right? So it is uncomfortable for many, but we had to do it. We couldn't flout those rules because we ourselves didn't know how bad the coronavirus is, right? I mean, we've heard so many stories and of people getting it in Europe and so forth. In India, fortunately or unfortunately, the first wave wasn't so bad, right? And the first wave was over. We eased out of the lockdown. We shot we finished the movie, and it becomes a little more expensive because you're trying to follow these new rules, right? And you have to get everybody tested, every other day. We can't. It's a big unit. To put 200 people up in a hotel would be really tough. So my crew would go home, and when you go home, you don't know who you meet, right? And what you come back the next day to the set with. So our tests were done really frequently. I mean, the RT-PCR test. So it is tough, but it has to be done if you really want to continue and finish your movie. We managed. We finished. We shot, and then as an actor, I went on to shoot Empire, which was even larger. So there, the protocols were followed. And, everybody took care. Everybody took care except for the actors. Every single person had a mask on, which is great. So commendable, to the crew because they're looking out for other people besides themselves. So we handled it really well. And then the second wave came, and that was disastrous. That's when it hit us that, hey, this is crazy. This virus is something to not take lightly.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm really glad that you managed to complete the shoot before the situation got out of hand, and I think I think that's probably the onus on a lot of filmmakers right now. I think more than anything, it's the added pressure, I would say, of completing the shoot before, situations go out.
Well, now we kind of know what it is, so we know what to do, right? We kind of know what, so we just know what to do, and it's made the process a little more easier right now. You just have to be extra careful.
Right. Now, I remember when the film was announced. Now, Pranutan is a very dear friend, and I have watched and followed her journey since Notebook. So for me, from seeing her as Firdaus to now Rupali in the film, the journey feels very personal to me as well. And even Apar as well, I've always seen that potential in him as an actor, and I'm really glad that he's got this opportunity to be the lead actor because he really rightfully deserves it. Now, because obviously Pranutan and Apar, Apar is already established. Pranutan is still relatively new in terms of her acting talent, and especially her work as an actor too. So I guess because you were once a debutante, you were once, the flavor of many, many months, and a lot of people loved you. I remember when I saw you in Raz, and I think there was just so much popularity around you at that point. So when you began, so how much of you do you kind of relate with sort of newcomers when you are working with them, or fresh actors, how much do you kind of bring that personality and that personal things that you went through the
Yeah,
actors you choose?
I completely understand new actors and where they come from and how hard they try. I do get it. I experienced the exact same thing. Um, uh, we have a bunch of immensely talented actors now, immensely talented, and I think it's only fair to just give them an opportunity. I was given an opportunity, and so right now as a producer, uh, I obviously am looking, and there's a certain way the business is in the film industry, not with OTT, purely the film industry. You try to look for actors who have a perceived notion of what value they command, right? And you go for those certain actors because you think they can actually put bums on seats. But some is a perception. There are a handful only who can actually do that, a handful. And besides them, everyone else is perception. It's just make believe. Ultimately, it's your script. Now, I know we have a great script. I know we have a good story, and I needed tremendous actors for this. And that's why, when Apar, Pranutan, Abhishek Banerjee, Ashish Verma, I thought we've put together such a fantastic crew to work on this film that they've actually enhanced my story. They brought so much more to it than we just saw it on paper. And I'm actually grateful to go and cast it correctly and to do it the right way as a film should be. So I'm proud of myself and my team and my director. Instead of going right to the top and saying, also this is my second production. So I mean, I can hope for the stars, and God knows what happens. But I felt making it with these people would just do the film justice, and we've done justice to it.
I agree. And I love the chemistry. I love the pairing. I really, really love the pairing. And I think that's exactly what worked for me initially too. And I think it just definitely has worked out very together. And like I said, that's why Helmet does seem very personal to me as well in many ways. But I think, Dino, when you were beginning actually as an actor, I guess because you're now a producer, I guess you have that flexibility now of choosing roles that you genuinely want to do rather than perhaps you having to choose them, right? I mean, is that a difference that you've noticed in your career now, especially after all the time has passed?
Well, to be honest, I made this choice a couple of years ago that I would not succumb to doing stuff that I didn't think was good, roles that I thought were really mediocre, or part roles of a movie that was not great. I wouldn't mind doing a part role in a film that is excellent or a story that is really good. Unfortunately, those offers didn't come my way, so I said no to many offers that were just mediocre in my view, and I was quite right, I think, because some of the movies that were made were just terrible. So I'm happy I said no, and I said no for a couple of years, but it was a scary time because at that point you just don't know what's going to happen, right? You're hanging loose, thinking, hey, am I even going to get another good offer ever? Right? That's when I said, to be relevant and to stick with the film industry, I said, let me become a producer, and that's when I produced my first film, just in 2012. Then it was a bit of a lull moment because I really needed to figure myself out as to which direction I was going in. And then about 2016, 17, things started falling into place again. I mean, I kept working on myself as an actor, being prepared in the event something fantastic came my way. And before you know it, things started coming my way. And I started picking really good stuff in the OTT space. And I guess that was all a warm-up to what I'm doing right now with The Empire. And Helmet was one of the scripts which came to me, I think, the idea which came to me 2017, right? So for 5 years, I was finding my feet, just saying no, and hanging on and waiting, And so Helmet's made. That time was a tough time, but now I think everything's just, when you're putting so much of hard work and you just wait and you're patient and you're clear in your head that, no, I will only wait for the good stuff, then the good stuff will come, right? And I believe that somewhere, and I think that belief is paying off right now. So my movie, as a producer and as an actor, it's all coming together right now, and we're pitching 3 more scripts to produce, reading more scripts to act. So it just seems to be all working out pretty fine right now.
Wow, that's great to hear. But you mentioned about this sort of null moment in your life, and I think waiting is a very key aspect about our industry, whether it's an actor, as a reporter, anything. I feel like intezar to bahut hi matlab avashakta hai. Actually, you need to have patience if you want to enter the industry. I think that's something which I've learned as well. But how did you cope with that? Because you've witnessed success, you've witnessed failure quite closely as well. So what has failure and what has dull, like these sort of empty moments in life, taught you as a person?
Well, see, I've seen honestly highs and lows, and for me, these are all learnings in life, and these are experiences which make you a stronger, a tougher person. I feel one thing you got to know is just you will hit low at some point. You got to pick yourself up, and there's nobody but you to help yourself. No, you don't expect anybody to come and pick you up and say, "Hey, yeah, this is going to happen for you." No, none of that rubbish happens. You got to pick yourself up, and you got to find your way. And so at that point, I knew that I'm on my own in this whole game, and it's only me to figure out my path from there on. But so I worked on myself, and I did other stuff, to keep myself busy, to keep my mind busy. I did other stuff. I was working on myself as an actor, right? And I was looking at different scripts to produce, trying to figure out ways. My production company was making ads. We were doing some stuff with fitness. There were 2 or 3 businesses that I invested in. I was looking into them, so keeping myself busy. I have a bit of a entrepreneurial streak, and so I can't sit and do nothing. I want to do something. So if this is not working, I'll move in that direction, right? But my love is always here in acting. So I'd come back, I'd revisit, I'd talk to people, I'd say, "Hey, I'm still here. I'm still here." So these moments are tough. They're not easy. They're really tough moments because you're with everybody. You're a good player. I mean, like my friend Kunal says, you're a good player on the football team, but you're sitting on the bench. You're wondering, "Fuck, I'm such a great player. Why aren't they putting me in the starting 11?" You see, and so you keep sitting on the bench saying, "Hey, I'm here. I can play." And you keep practicing all the time, and when they put you as a striker, and then you suddenly score a goal, and you're like, "Okay." Now you realize that, yeah, I've been waiting all this while, but I'm here. So it's tough, but you just got to know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that nothing can beat hard work.
And I think also, as I think there's 2 parts actually to this question, because I think we've got to wrap up as well soon. So number one, as a producer, when you are looking for films to back now, do you have an inkling or an idea of what will succeed or what will not succeed? And does that vision kind of impact you and the sort of projects you choose as an actor? That's one part of the question. And second part of the question, it's quite 2 big questions in one, sorry, but the second part is social comedies now seem to be the new norm. Like I said, Rohan worked on Mimi, which was a phenomenal film, and I think it's probably one of the best Hindi films we've seen this year, arguably. Yeah. So it seems to be gaining a lot of prominence now. So do you think this is paving a new sort of genre for Hindi cinema, especially now that we have Helmet coming out too?
All right. So your first question, do I know what to indulge in terms of producing a film, what kind of script, what genre? No, but one thing I know is from my reading of hundreds of scripts, one thing I know is I can tell a good story. When somebody sends me something to read, I know, I see it visually, and I can tell if it's a really interesting, engaging story, whether it's a thriller, whether it's a drama, whether it's romance, whether it's comedy, action, horror, you name it. But if I see a really good, compelling story there, and if I know it'll translate well on screen, then I'll make it. So there's not one particular idea I'm chasing, but just a good, engaging movie experience or a web series experience is something when I read, I will know. And I think anybody who has even a limited sense of understanding of storytelling would know. So these are the kind of the stories I'd want to indulge. It's something that will engage an audience for 2 hours and just have them, you know, engrossed in your work is what I want to do. Social comedies, are they the flavor? Well, right now they're working because, you know, we're telling good stories. We're actually telling good stories. We're not ripping off some movie made in the West. We're making our own stories in India, and we're creating stories. We're creating content. Writers and ideators are thinking. They're not saying, "Hey, I saw that movie, let's copy." We're thinking, and we've got thousands of stories in India, and we've got beautiful stories. They come from small towns. They come from big cities. The idea is to put it together so well that it engages the audience. And it's not a tough thing to do. You just have to get a great idea and make a story.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I think on that note as well, I think you know, helmet is a very important subject, and I'm so glad that it's streaming on a platform like ZEE5, which again, you know, you're no stranger to as well. You had Mentalhood, I believe, which was also showcased on that platform, which is wonderful. And I can't wait to watch Helmet. I've been waiting for so long to see the film, and
Oh, sweet. Great.
yeah, and like I
I
said,
hope you like it, man. I really hope you like it.
no, definitely, definitely. I think I'll be messaging Pranutan as soon as I've seen it, and Apar as well. So I can't wait to check it out for sure on ZEE5.
Super, super, Manoj. I look forward to your comments on the film.
For sure. Thank you so much, Dino. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care.